I'm your host, Jasmine Knight. Welcome back. If this is your first time here, subscribe so you don't miss a single thing. Smash that like button and share so the video gets pushed out to others. Remember, we can make a difference, but we must speak up. Now, on with the show.
Years ago, we came together to pass the No Child Left Behind Act. And today, no one can deny its results.
Stupid in America. That's a nasty title.
14 countries rank higher on reading ability than the U.S.
And the urgent task of fixing America's failing schools.
A third of our kids are dropping out.
The American education system badly needs improvement.
Just last week, schools got $10 billion in emergency government funding.
But now the shocking video of a school beating caught on tape.
There have been 6 suicides in our school district.
Tampa police are investigating a report of a rape at Jefferson High School.
The No Child Left Behind Act was developed in 2001 and established January 8, 2002. The gaming system is a system of incentives and penalties that motivate schools to alter test scores and lie about academic progression. Theoretically, this leads the public to believe that our standard of education is constantly improving. State testing. States possess the ability to make their standardized tests easier in order to receive higher test scores. Essentially, this leads to a less educated student body, while schools appear to increase in success. Elective education. Schools focus on the core studies of reading, writing, and mathematics, often being forced to cut electives, resulting in a loss of creativity and production from students. Federal control. The use of No Child Left Behind to further federal intrusion into our local communities, often seizing power and choice from local school districts. Military recruitment. No Child Left Behind requires schools to provide contact information for every student to the military if requested, providing military recruiters the same access as academic recruiters like educational help programs in colleges. Constantly building America's military empire, starting with the foundation of youth. Schools constantly preach that your life should revolve around excelling in your studies, but many education experts contradict that statement.
Bush graduated from Yale with a mediocre score, and Bradley graduated from Princeton with a horrible score. One became a governor, the other a senator, and one's now the president. I guess you think Al Gore's an exception. No, he flunked out of college his freshman year, flunking 6 of the 7 courses he took. Why doesn't the New York Times put that in banner headlines on the front cover?
Maybe these elite men found a home in globalism and started using public schooling as an engineering mechanism for young minds.
All children start out naturally curious and love to learn. When they are sent to school, instead of learning, it is a repeated process of memorizing and regurgitating information. The better you are at regurgitating this information, the better you will do in the school system. The real education is obeying authority. We are taught to ask permission. We are taught not to think outside the box. We are taught multiculturalism, drug, sex, and death education. We are taught to memorize, regurgitate information, an input-output process not unlike a computer or a slave. We are taught to respond to a bell, just like a factory floor. We are taught to keep our head down and just make it through the day. We are taught to lower our expectations, and that is just school. Outside of school, our communication is destroyed as people literally lose the ability to speak and relate to one another. Our financial education is one of slaves encouraging debt. Our political system is one of false choices. Our media is normalizing narcissistic behavior. We are not taught to develop critical thinking. We are not taught about debt-based money and the principles that our founding fathers fought for. We are not taught to cooperate and view each other as a team with individual talents and gifts. We are not taught to question authority or even the facts demanded of us. We are indoctrinated, not educated. Indoctrinated like little slaves. The secret of American schooling is that it does not teach the way children learn, nor is it supposed to. Schools were conceived to serve the economy and the social order rather than the kids and the families. That is why it's compulsory. As a consequence, the school cannot help anybody grow up, because its prime directive is to retard maturity. It does it by teaching that everything is difficult, that other people run our lives, that our neighbors are untrustworthy and even dangerous. School is the first impression children get of society. Because first impressions are often the most decisive ones, school imprints kids with fear, suspicion of one another, and certain addictions for life. It ambushes natural intuition, faith, and love of adventure, wiping these out in favor of gospel of rational procedure and rational management. Between 1906 and 1920, a handful of world-famous industrialists and financiers, together in their own private foundations, handpicked university administrators, House politicians, and spent more attention and more money towards forced schooling than the national government did. Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller spent more money than the government did between 1900 and 1920 on education. The system of modern schooling was constructed outside of the public eye and outside the public's representatives. In our dreams, people yield themselves with perfect docility to our molding hands. The present education conventions of intellectual and character education fade from their minds, and unhampered by tradition, we work our own goodwill upon a grateful and responsive folk. We shall not try to make these people, or any of their children, into philosophers or men of science. We have not to raise up them as authors, educators, poets, or men of letters. We shall not search for great artists, painters, musicians, nor lawyers, doctors, preachers, politicians, statesmen, all of whom we have ample supply of. The task is simple. We will organize the children and teach them in a perfect way the things their fathers and mothers are doing in an imperfect way. John D. Rockefeller. The aim of public education is not to fill the young of the species with knowledge and awaken their intelligence. Nothing could be further from the truth. The aim is simply to reduce as many individuals as possible to the same safe level, to breed and train standardized citizenry, to put down dissidence and originality. That is the aim of the United States. H. L. Mencken. This lowest common denominator citizen is most useful in a corporate, military, or a welfare state. Corporations, governments, and militaries do not deal with dissent effectively, so it is in their best interest not to have participants that question anything. Education should aim at destroying free will, so that after pupils left school, they shall be incapable throughout the rest of their lives of thinking and acting otherwise than their schoolmasters would have wished. Bertrand Russell. Our education system is centered on an input-output process of information. Our success or failure depends on our efficiency of taking what the teacher tells us and then regurgitating that same information onto an exam. Those that are able to blindly regurgitate information the best are rewarded with higher grades. They are told that they are smart, when in fact they are just thoroughly indoctrinated. This input-output process is no different than a computer or what a slave does. You give it a command, and it just does it, without question. This system was carefully created to mold us into what we are today. The masses blindly flow through this education system and naturally fit into centralized systems that want good, little, obedient workers who take orders without question. This input-output mindset is reinforced outside of school and the career world. Our society is all about what is popular. From early on in our lives, we are pressured into doing what's popular, not what's best for you. This is a way a collective gets individuals to sacrifice what is unique and special about themselves, to become the lowest common denominator in a group that really doesn't care about you at all. The most brilliant propagandist technique will yield no success unless one fundamental principle is born in the mind constantly. You must confine itself to a few points and repeat it to them over and over again. Joseph Goebbels. When you look at our news or political debate, it is driven by talking points where they're repeated with such accuracy it's scary.
Talk show host Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope on late-night television.
Conan O'Brien may be able to push the envelope on late-night television.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope on late-night television.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope on late-night television.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope on his late-night television.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope on late-night television.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope on late-night television.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope on late-night TV.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope on late-night television.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope on late-night television.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope once again on late-night TV.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope on late-night television.
Conan O'Brien is looking to push the envelope on late-night television.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope on late-night TV.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope on late-night television.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope on late-night television.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope.
If this works for late-night TV, what else could this be good for?
It's the third time I've said that. I'll probably say it 3 more times. See, in my line of work, you got to keep repeating things over and over and over again for the truth to sink in, to kind of catapult the propaganda. Terrorism, terrorist, terror organization, terrorist attacks, terrorism, terrorist network, terrorist attacks, terrorist group, terrorists, terrorist, terrorists, instruments of terror, a terror network, terror cells, terrorists, terrorizing terror and murder. To kind of catapult the propaganda. Weapons of terror, terrible weapons of mass destruction, chemical weapons, weapons of mass destruction. Dangerous weapons, even more dangerous weapons, biological weapons, chemical agents, chemical weapons, chemical attacks, chemical and biological weapons, chemical and biological weapons, ballistic missiles, chemical or biological weapons, chemical or biological attack, chemical and biological attacks, poisons, deadly gases, the biological or chemical weapon, instruments of terror, the instruments of mass death, weapons of mass destruction, nuclear weapon, bomb, nuclear weapons, nuclear program, nuclear weapons program, nuclear scientists, nuclear holy warriors, nuclear program and nuclear weapons, nuclear weapon, nuclear technology.
66% of United States residents' public water is fluoridated. It is known to have tremendous effects on bone cancer, joint problems, bone weakness, lowered estrogen and testosterone levels, and dental fluorosis, which is yellowing of the teeth and pitting in the enamel. Wouldn't it make more sense to enhance public water with vitamins which are meant to be ingested to promote overall health, rather than putting such a toxic chemical in our water with a bogus explanation that it will improve our dental health? We now know that fluoride causes more dental problems than it solves. Something doesn't seem right about this. Do you honestly believe that these companies care deeply enough for the people to spend large amounts of their own money to fluoridate public water when the people already purchase their own toothpaste? But there's a difference between toothpaste and drinking water. We don't ingest toothpaste. If you go to any hardware store and look at any rat poison product, you will only find one ingredient: sodium fluoride. It is the most toxic ionic molecule outside of potassium dichromate. Now Dannon, along with other companies, have begun fluoridating bottled water. It is becoming increasingly difficult to get away from. And the fact that fluoride is also used in many prescription antidepressants shows that it eliminates aggression and motivation in people.
Fluoride, to my knowledge as a physician, has absolutely no biological benefit whatsoever.
But one of the significant things is that the Russians carried out all sorts of experiments on the people living in the Gulag. One of them, of course, was to fluoridate the water. Why? You fluoridate the water, why people are not as aggressive as they ordinarily would be. In fact, what is the active ingredient in Prozac that is so widely distributed in America today? Why, it's a fluoride compound.
And now, we are finding that public water nationwide is showing up with arsenic, lead, cadmium, and thermonium, which is a radioactive form of lead. Cancer, lowered sex drive, birth defects, sedation, and brain defects. Does this not sound like a wonder drug for anyone aiming to control a population?
It's quite astonishing, Paul, the degree to which environmentalists have not been educated about fluoride. You know, people have an unconscious trust in their doctor or their dentist, and if you can persuade doctors and dentists that fluoride is safe and good, then you're able to reach the rest of the nation. People believe their doctors and dentists, and that was a way of promoting fluoride for Bernays. Fluoride was killing their cattle, destroying their crops. Fluoride given to rats had produced bone cancer and liver cancer, and that those results had been doctored to make it look as though fluoride hadn't caused as much cancer.
The pattern that we saw, it typically is what we see with other neurotoxic agents that are well known to cause a hypoactivity or a memory problem or an IQ problem. When I first presented the results of these studies, one of the individuals sitting and listening to the results, he says, "Do you have any idea what you're saying?" And he says, "You're telling us that we're reducing the IQ of children." And basically I said, yes.
Aspartame, the artificial sweetener found in almost every low sugar or sugar-free product on the market.
First of all, aspartame is made up of three things: methanol, which of course is what produces blindness, aspartic acid, and phenylalanine. These are all poisons. Aspartic acid, of course, produces brain lesions. This was known back in the early 1970s. Methanol produces blindness. Phenylalanine is what you see in the brain, and in high dosage it produces trauma.
We're not making this all up. The FDA did publish back in, I think it was in the 80s, they did publish the 92 potential side effects of aspartame. And they do, these side effects are quite, are extremely serious. Things like dizziness, problems with balance, abdominal pain and cramps, changes in vision, seizures and convulsions, etc., etc.
Yet despite all of these harmful effects, Donald Rumsfeld pushed it out into the stores in over 5,000 products when he was CEO of Searly, the company that manufactured aspartame.
The sustainable goal is the elimination of the middle class. The world cannot support 6 billion people. But you see, the plan behind sustainable development includes population control. It's a program for land use control, education control, and population control. The leaders of the sustainable movement say that the world's human population should not exceed 500 million people. That's a 93% reduction of today's population levels. In 1992, while the Rio conference was going on, George Bush, then president, was there. He was just offshore in Prince Charles's yacht, where he executed the Agenda 21 protocols on behalf of the United States and brought it back to Washington, D.C. Within a year, Bill Clinton, by executive order, established the President's Council for Sustainable Development.
In 1996, Bill Clinton set up the President's Council on Sustainable Development. One of the dictates of Agenda 21 is that every country in the world is to set up a national council to oversee the implementation of Agenda 21. I've listened to Gorbachev explain, we are writing a new set of 10 or 15 commandments to replace the original 10. Which one of the 10 do you think these guys don't like? Thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet. Because I'll tell you what, these people have lied to us. They're in the process of stealing all of this nation's natural resources, and they covet everything you have left.
To explain the map, the red are areas that are to be off limits to human beings. If you live there, you won't. The yellow areas are the areas for major control of all human activity. If you live there, you won't. The black dots are the smart growth zones. That's where human beings are to be stacked and packed in small living units along rail tracks. The Smart Growth Program ultimately has jobs assigned and children cared for by the state.
And in conjunction with Codex Alimentarius, food will be limited and water consumption will be decreased to 10 gallons per day per person. That is over a 90% reduction in people's average daily water consumption. And along with shortages of food and water, the food we will be provided with will be genetically manipulated and nutrient deficient. Genetic manipulation of food causes complications in metabolizing and utilizing food for energy.
In June of 2003, scientists reported that the gene sequence of the inserted genes into crops had actually changed their order. They had re-scrambled. So the genetic inserts are not stable. Another laboratory confirmed this and found that it had changed in the same varieties in different ways that they had tested. So not only is it unstable and changing, it's not even uniform in the way it's changing. This is incredibly dangerous.
Nutrient deficiencies due to Codex's planned vitamin and mineral ban will cause billions of preventable diseases. Both of these will ultimately lead to billions of deaths.
This is a call for an uprising. We welcome you to today's show and ask those of you who have not subscribed to please subscribe to our YouTube channel as we continue to expose the satanic Illuminati agenda and the ushering in of the Antichrist. Today's show, I want to talk about the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which took place last night. Of course, it took place, but I'm sure people will say it's a real coincidence. It took place on the eve of the Beltane. They get all these prominent people together in the same room, the night of the festival of Baal, of Satan, worshiping Satan. Lord only knows what these people did after the Correspondents' Dinner as they were all grouped together there. But I want to talk about some of the things that Obama said in his speech, which are absolutely jaw-dropping that he had the gall to say it. But of course, I know people out there, the masses who continue to refuse to wake up from this dream that they're in, from this trance that they're under, will say that, oh, he's just joking around. It's supposed to be a roast. It's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be humorous. Well, I didn't find anything funny about it, and I heard it. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that didn't find anything funny about it. So let's get into some of the quotes that he said as he continues to declare that the New World Order is upon us, that it is here. He starts off the speech and he says something along the lines of him being here, this is his last Correspondents' Dinner ever, and he said, perhaps, possibly, the last one ever. And he looks around the room and he says, everyone looks great. The end of the Republic has never looked better. I repeat, everyone looks great. The end of the Republic has never looked better. For those of you that don't know what the Republic is, I'll give you the exact definition of the Republic. A state in which supreme power is held by the people and their elected representatives, and which has an elected or nominated president rather than a monarch. That's what we live in, or supposedly we live in a republic, even though we know for quite some time the people have had absolutely no power. We know for quite some time that the elections that they perform here are nothing more than a show, because these elections are not real. But this is Obama actually admitting that the men in that room, the men who were responsible for this last 8 years with Obama, have destroyed the Republic as we know it. And the death of the Republic means the ushering in of a monarchy and ushering in of a new world order. And that's exactly what's happening, and he openly admits it. And you could say, oh, he was joking around. I don't think so. All you have to do is look around you, look at the signs of the times. You can see the Pope ushering in a one-world religion, merging the religions as one, knowing that these people have been trying for decades now to usher in a new world order. George Bush Sr. talking about it back in the early 90s, about a new world order will be here. And Obama, as he's destroyed the Republic with all of the blasphemies that he's done in his 8 years of office, saying to everybody that they look great and that the end of the Republic has never looked better. Absolutely jaw-dropping. Now, I'm aware that the masses are just going to continue to be in a trance and not care one bit about this. But this is them actually admitting now that these elections and all these things are gone, that a monarchy is here, that a new world order is upon us, and it could be here by 2017. It could be here by the fall. Events could occur this summer which will lead to it, which will lead to martial law, which I truly believe will happen. He also goes on to talk about Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, of course, because this is part of the psyop that they're doing. This is part of the mass confusion. This is how they have just completely tricked even truthers out there who claim to be Christian truthers, who for some reason still believe that elections are real and votes matter. And all these people think that Donald Trump is here to save the day, that he's not one of them. When he was born into a Masonic family, when Donald Trump, this billionaire, is obviously an elitist. This is all part of the setup that they're doing. But Obama goes on to say, next year at this time, someone else will be standing here in this very spot, and it's anyone's guess who she will be. So this is part of the psyop that they're doing, where they're saying everybody in politics, everybody is pushing for Hillary to be the president, and then all of these people out there actually who are awake or think that they're awake believe that Donald Trump is the savior who's going to come in and take down the Illuminati, take down the synagogue of Satan, take down this power structure that's so corrupt. And they're falling for it. So what they do is they irk at them. They poke at them. So then they get real riled up. And they say, can you believe that this guy said that? Can you believe it? Donald Trump is going to create change and all this. It's all part of a psyop. Donald Trump is in on it. Hillary is in on it. They are all in on it. It is a giant ruse. That's what this is. It's a mirage. It is not real. Their vote doesn't count. These elections are predetermined. They predetermine them years in advance. At the Bilderberg meetings, at the Bohemian Grove, where they plan out and strategize what they're going to do to all the citizens of this country and the other countries, what world events they're going to create. You think by chance they have this much power, you think by chance they would allow somebody that wasn't one of them to get in? He wouldn't even be on the ballot. They would have whacked him. They would have killed him. Okay? If somebody like me, say I fell into $1 billion somehow and I tried to run for office, they would come to my home and say, you're not running for office or we'll kill you and your family. They wouldn't even allow me to get to $1 billion if I, you know what I mean? That's the point. You can't get that kind of money, this mindset of hard work and all this stuff, and you can have anything you want and all this money. They won't allow you to. They will stop you because they know with money, change can be created. They control all of it. You cannot get on the ballot if you are not a part of it and not a part of this plan. So this is part of the psyop, that people keep falling into this trap, thinking that this election, that Donald Trump is here, he's going to stop the Illuminati, he's going to stop this power structure that has destroyed our Constitution, which has destroyed our republic. It is not true. And that's why they do little jokes like that, where they say, you know, it's anyone's guess who she'll be. Because then all the people out there who are on the edge about Donald Trump start thinking, oh, he really is the savior. They really don't want Trump in office. These politicians don't want him in office. This is set up. It's fake. They're playing with your mind. You have to remember that. Everything is a mind game. They know exactly how to lead you this way or lead you that way, like cattle. That's what they do to us. Everything they say and do is designed to get at our emotions, to provoke us and push us where they want to push us. So you can't believe anything that comes out of their mouths. Satan is the master of liars, and they worship Satan. And it's not a coincidence, like I said, that this correspondence dinner happened to fall on the Beltane, on the eve of the Beltane, the night on the 30th, the night before May 1st, leading into sunrise. It's when they perform all of these human sacrifices to Satan. It's when the veil is at its second thinnest. And you have all these elitists, all of these, there's celebrities there, there's politicians there, there's all these higher-ups that run our country, that have power in our country there at this time period, on this night that they selected. I can't even imagine what happened afterwards and where they performed these rituals, but you could bet your bottom dollar that they did. So again, Obama admitting that the end of the republic has never looked better. This is the end of the republic as we know it, and this is the beginning of a new world order. It will be here by 2017. You can't take these things lightly. This is what these Satanists do. They tell you what they're going to do. It enhances their craft. It's part of witchcraft, letting people know what they're doing. It enhances the power of the spell. It enhances the power of the mind control. It enhances the power that they get from performing these rituals and doing these things. It's letting you know beforehand exactly what they're going to do and exactly what is to come. And they know that the people, they've created this mindset of sarcasm and wit, and they use it so they can say whatever they want, and then they come back and they start laughing. They go, come on, you can't take a joke. You take everything literal. Do you have a sense of humor? That's how they get away with doing this stuff. That's part of the psyop. That's part of this complete mind twist that they performed on everyone. So he says it right in front of everyone, right in the room, and nobody picks up on it, and everybody laughs in the audience, all these senators and politicians, these skull and bone members like John Kerry, these just deep, dark-rooted Satanists, all cracking up because they've destroyed the republic which was built here, even though this thing has been destroyed long, long ago, as this country was founded on Freemasons. But they've completely destroyed it now. They're admitting that the republic has fallen, that this is the death to the republic, and this is going to be the ushering in of a new world order that is to come by the end of this year to the beginning of next year. You could bet your bottom dollar that it is on its way in now, and you even have these sickos openly admitting it. This should raise red flags. Should people not be raising red flags going, hello, the death of the republic? You mean the republic as in, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God? Oh, wait, that's right. You can't say that anymore. But it is one nation under God. It's under their God, because this whole nation has been set up under their God, Lucifer's watch, under his eye, under his watch, under his all-seeing eye. And as they attempted many, many years ago, centuries ago, to build the Tower of Babel, to bring in this new world order, it is upon us once again. They have all the power and all the control to do this right now, and they are doing it. And this, my friends, is the end of the republic and the beginning of a new world order. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you. May peace be with you.
You can't say it, but you know it's true. Good evening, everybody. It is an honor to be here at my last, and perhaps the last, White House Correspondents' Day. You all look great. The end of the republic has never looked better. You can't say it, but you know it's true. You can't say it, but you know it's true. It is an honor to be here at my last, and perhaps the last, White House Correspondents' Day. And perhaps the last White House Correspondents' Day. The end of the republic has never looked better.
The Super Bowl 2016 was the third most watched program in recorded history. That really says a lot. It's well known that advertisers will pay millions and millions of dollars for a 30-second spot. Now this to me has always been very clear evidence of mind control, the power of mind control. The advertisers are willing to pay this much money for a 30-second spot because they know they're going to get all these views. They also realize how powerful advertising really is. In its own way, it's a form of mind control. I don't consider us conspiracy theorists, I consider us critical thinkers. So a lot of people in the world are seeing that everything's bathed in deception, it seems. Government, politics, schools, religions, everything. So people are searching. But I've been in this community of critical thinkers for about 8.5 years now. And in all that time, I've seen a lot of trends. I've seen a lot of people come and go. And I've seen a lot of channels grow. What I've really seen is a huge awakening. I remember many years ago when I started uncovering Illuminati symbols or trying to understand the language of symbols in our world, also questioning our reality in all different forms. It didn't seem like there was that many of us around. But now the community has exploded. A lot of people are asking questions and a lot of people are sharing their truth. I'm telling you this because you're going to see a lot of different videos on the Super Bowl, and this is what I'll be covering in this video as well. And I encourage that. People have different vision. People have different gifts. People see different things. So I always encourage people to share their truth. I made this video as I was watching the Super Bowl and the commercials, so these are my impressions of things, just the first thing I kind of picked up on. Some of the things I left out, there were a lot of symbols and things happening in the Super Bowl that I felt was very obvious. And then I'm sure there's plenty of things that I missed. Once again, the importance of the community. The strangest thing that occurred to me while I was watching the Super Bowl, and keeping in mind how many millions of people were going to be viewing this, was the massive amount of, once again, occult symbolism taking place there, or Illuminati symbolism, if you will. New World Order agenda. Many of the different things we've covered here on the channel and other people have covered as well, once again on display on the Super Bowl, all throughout it, for millions of people to see. And the strangest thing is that most of those people have no idea what they were really seeing just below the surface. So with all that being said, let's explore. I really wanted to start with the basics on this one. So Pepsi is the corporation that sponsored the 2016 Super Bowl. Now there's a very interesting and easy way to see how this beast system is manifesting and how it's growing, how it's literally taking over everything in our world. But one way to see this really easily is to look at corporate logos. Now over the last few years, a lot of these logos have changed because a lot of these corporations have sold out to other entities. This right here is Pepsi's old logo. This is what it used to look like. And then several years back it changed ownership and the new owners created a new symbol, which is this one. So we look at the old symbol, right? You see that? Now we look at the new symbol and what's the change? The change is very subtle, but I've always seen this as an eye, another eye symbol. You see the way the blue is slanted now and then the white. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this forms the all-seeing eye. And I've shown you this in all kinds of things in the past. This all-seeing eye, these pyramids, all this stuff keeps showing up. Now, in case you think that's a reach, I want to show you this right here. This is the old Taco Bell logo. I've shown you guys this in some other videos as well. And then once they changed ownership, well, this became the new logo. And as you can see, they put the evil eye in there, or the reptilian eye, if you will, surrounded by a 6. And even more telling is that on all the Taco Bell buildings, there's 3 of those logos all around the side, right? So you have the 666 with the all-seeing eye. Here's an example right here. Obviously, they have the one on the main sign right there, but all around the building, there's always 3. So you got the 3 eyes, the 3 6s on the Taco Bell. And in case you still think that's a reach, this right here is an example of one of their newest buildings. So not only do they have the 666 with the all-seeing eye all around the building, they've also put the arch in right there above the Taco Bell. And that slight arch, of course, is this right here. So again, we have the Eye of Horus. Now we're going back to the Egyptian mystery teachings. All this stuff is connected with the Illuminati, which essentially are very, very high-end Freemasons. This beast system is certainly controlled by multiple secret societies, different bricks in the same pyramid, if you will. But I thought this is a real spot-on example. Once again, you can go from one to the other, and we have the confirmations of all the other signs which we need. So now we see what Taco Bell really is. We see what entity controls this corporation. Now, if you go a lot of years back with the Super Bowl, I mean many years back, you're not going to find any of this stuff. There was never any of the satanic imagery and pageantry or Illuminati symbols and all this stuff. We didn't see so much of this occult things in our entertainment many, many years ago. But specifically over the last 5 years or so, it's really growing. In practically any big event anymore that happens, award shows, sporting events, the Olympics, things like that, you're really seeing this stuff out there now. They're really pushing it, right? Here's a good example. This one was from a few years ago. The Super Bowl MVP was wearing an Illuminati eye during a press conference. And as I said, we've seen a lot of this over the last few years. Madonna was a part of one of the Super Bowl shows a while back. All the imagery, all the occult symbolism, it's all right there. But again, most people, the general public, they have no idea about this kind of stuff. So they don't really see it the way we do. But coming back to Super Bowl 2016, there's some very basic symbolism here as well, I noticed right off. But the Broncos logo itself is the white horse. The white horse, the first horse of the apocalypse, right? The horse that brings death And we've seen this horse pop up in all kinds of places as well. You may remember this one right here. This is, I think it was one of Obama's inauguration speeches. But of course, right there at the very top, they made sure to have the white horse. And once again, this is of the occult. This is symbolic of the white horse coming. That was right there in the middle of everything, and most people probably didn't even notice it. But again, this is symbolic. The white horse approaches. The four horses of the apocalypse approach. Now we're also talking about Denver. These are the Denver Broncos. Now, as far as this so-called conspiracy community goes, most of us know about the Denver International Airport. This is one of the most obvious examples of the beast system, again, right before our very eyes. It's filled with occult symbolism all around. They even have Lucifer. It's this blue horse with the red, fiery eyes out there in front of the Denver International Airport. Again, something a lot of people have broken down. I have broken this down as well. And we have to ask ourselves, why is it they put this stuff out there in public, right? It makes no sense normally. But when we understand the people behind the scenes and the way they think and the way they put things out there, it begins to make a lot more sense. But you really don't have to reach too far. When it comes to the Denver International Airport. They tell you right here, right in front of your face, what it is. This is the New World Airport, right? You got the Freemason logo there. So once again, clear example of the beast system manifested before our very eyes. And again, it always goes back to the eye, doesn't it? It's the eye of the beast system, or the Illuminati, people call it, the Illuminati eye, but I call it the eye of the beast system, always watching. And over the last few years, it's manifesting even more and more. This is from a nuclear summit not long ago. So all the world leaders were there, Obama was there. I've shown you guys this before. In the middle, you have a hologram pyramid on top of the sun disk. This stuff gets deep. And all around the inner circle are Egyptian hieroglyphs. So again, you can see the people who are behind the scenes, right, or the people who are running things, who are really running things, all of them have this knowledge. All of them understand this. They understand this beast system. They're the ones pushing it out there. Even many of the members were literally wearing little pyramid lapels on their jackets. I mean, I was amazed when I first saw this, and this is from just about a year ago or so. But as I said, it's really coming out there. It's manifesting more and more, and they're just showing us. So Super Bowl 2016, as I said, there were a lot of symbols going on. There's all kinds of things, commercials and movie trailers and all that. Now, as I said, I'm sure that a lot of people are going to be making videos on this, and you'll see a lot of different perspectives. I just want to kind of cut to the chase with this and show you some very real ways that you can see how dark this really is. How dark this agenda has become in mainstream media. Once again, the third most watched program in history. One of the easiest ways to really see the satanic or even Illuminati, if you will, in all of this, right, all around the Super Bowl. One of the easiest ways is just look at the celebrities that they're promoting. Now, here's the deal. Remember, it's millions of dollars for like a 30-second spot for the Super Bowl, because all these advertisers, all these corporations, they all know that lots of people are watching this, right? So this is a very clear example of massive mind control, massive programming for the public. Let me show you what I mean. Now, this right here is a singer named Janelle Monáe, and she had this really big Super Bowl commercial. But once again, when you just go back and look for the signs and symbols, remember, they have to reveal this stuff without telling you. We find Janelle Monáe, once again, just pushing forth all the same imagery, all the same ideas we see a lot of these other so-called Illuminati tools or pawns have to put out there. And this right here was interesting. She was doing a bit on Metropolis. I've covered Metropolis as well. The Illuminati, or these secret societies, they're all about Metropolis, because Metropolis, as far as I'm concerned, is the very first so-called Illuminati movie, where they literally put their plans right out there in front of the people's face. And Metropolis is a really old movie, but it's all about mixing science with Satanism. But once again, this is something you'll find a lot of these so-called Illuminati artists portraying or putting out there, is this idea of Metropolis, because all the ideas of Metropolis are very much about the beast system.
Thank you so much for staying until the end. Comment Jazzy Knight to show your support. If you got anything from this video, a good laugh, or helpful information, please smash that like button. Share this video with everyone you know. Become a Patreon Knight and gain access to exclusive content and group chats with yours truly. I'll leave a link in the description. Never stop fighting for what you believe in. Remember, together, we can make a difference, but we must speak up.